So with that, good morning. The program subcommittee is holding this meeting virtually due to the current public health situation. This meeting is being held using Microsoft Teams. A video of this meeting will be provided on our website in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Preliminarily, I would like to review the ground rules for the meeting. First, all microphones should be muted. We ask that you hold all questions or comments until the end of each presentation. Please announce yourself by name when speaking so that any of the attendees on the phone can identify you. If you are joining the meeting by phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself before speaking. Second, the public was invited to submit written comments on any agenda item up to 24 hours prior to this meeting. Those comments, if received, will be read by commission staff at the appropriate time on the agenda. Is Nick calling roll this morning?
Yes, I'll be doing that.
Thank you, Nick.
So based on who I see in the group box on the right-hand side, I do see that we have Chair Greer, we have Commissioner Ackley, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Blazer, Commissioner Ferguson, Commissioner Cornwell, Commissioner Johnston, Commissioner Merritt, Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Marks, and Commissioner Bradshaw. It's my understanding Commissioner Oberg will be here late, and I have not seen Commissioner Hewitt unless he's hopped on the last minute. It does not seem that way. So I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm counting 11 commissioners here. And just for a quick housekeeping, if you're having trouble, because Teams has sort of updated and changed its look, and the top there was a top row in your screen, and you should be able to see on your right-hand side your camera button and your microphone button. So if you need to use those two things, they're there. And then also a little bit further to your left, right next to, you'll see 3 dots. You'll see it looks like a hand in front of a face. That's to raise your hand. So if you have a question, if you click on that, that'll let me know that you have your hand raised to ask a question, and I can let Commissioner Greer know that you have a question about a topic. So just wanted to point out those things.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. With that, I believe the first item on the agenda is Arundel County Forest Conservation Easement Text Amendment, and I understand that Kate Durant is the presenter. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So Ms. Durant, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson Greer. Hold on one second. All right. Can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
You're good. Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
That makes everything better. Okay, so thank you, Chairperson Greer. Good morning. I'm Kate Durant, and I will be presenting the critical area mapping update for Anne Arundel County. Kelly Krinitz from the county's Department of Planning and Zoning is joining us for this meeting. Go. So as part of the county council approved bill number 62-21 at their meeting on July 6, 2021. And this action constituted local adoption of the Forest Conservation Easement Update. So here's some fun stuff about Anne Arundel County. It is the bright red county. You'll be seeing this map a few more times this morning. And we have the lovely seal of Anne Arundel County of Maryland. Bill number 62-21 is legislation that will allow property owners to extinguish a forest conservation easement in the critical area if the project has not progressed to development and cannot proceed due to permits, plan applications, and approvals having expired, been terminated, or deemed null and void. Anne Arundel County currently allows forest conservation easements outside of the critical area to be extinguished for the above reasons. So the goal is to have the same laws for extinguishing forest conservation easements inside and outside of the critical area. Bill number 62-21 amends Article 17, Subdivision and Development, Title 8, Critical Area Overlay, Subtitle 9, Agreements. The official language of the proposed text amendment reads as follows. 17-8-901, Forestation Agreement and Forest Conservation Easement. So this is new letter B, reconveyance of forest conservation easement upon a written request from the property owner made on or after the effective date of Bill number 62-21. The county shall promptly convey a forest conservation easement back to the owner if all permits and plan applications and approvals related to the development have expired, been terminated, or are otherwise null and void. Staff recommends concurrence with the chairman's determination to process this as a refinement. Also, we recommend that the chairman approve this refinement as proposed.
Thank you, Ms. Durant. Nick, are there any comments in the chat?
I do not see any comments in the chat now.
Okay. And just before we get to the commissioner's questions, were there any public comments submitted?
There are no public comments. I do see that Commissioner Ferguson does have his hand raised, though, to ask a question.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes, and the wording here, when it says they shall promptly respond, the county would promptly respond, that's an indefinite. It gives them no specific timeline to get back to the requester. And I'm wondering why it was kept as a generality. Promptly can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people.
Is there anyone, I was going to apologize. Can you answer that, or is there anyone from Arundel County? I forgot to ask that question as well.
I was going to see if Kelly Krinitz could answer that. I'm not aware of a specific reason for that language being included.
I am not aware either. You know, it didn't really, it could just say that we would reply. I think promptly was put in there that we wouldn't delay in doing so. We would respond as quickly as possible.
Commissioner Ferguson, does that answer your question or concern?
Well, a number of years ago, I was on the other side of the process, and I found that promptly doesn't necessarily mean prompt. And, you know, it can stay as it is, but I think that it would be more beneficial if there was a specific timeline given that the county had to respond back to the requester.
I mean, we can, you know, note that on future legislation and, you know, make our county council aware that that's a concern that you raised.
I see that Commissioner Johnston has his hand raised, so he might be wanting to respond to this.
Commissioner Johnson and then Commissioner Cornwell, Herr Cornwell.
And then Commissioner Adams would be third.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So this is Commissioner Johnston from Anne Arundel County. Thanks, Kelly, and thanks, Kate, for describing this. I think, Commissioner, that your question's a good one, and it's one that our council tackles every single time there's a planning and zoning bill in front of them. They'll consider 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, no language at all, promptly. And in this case, through the legislative process, they determined that promptly was the right wording. So for Kelly and myself, we have to go with our council's recommendation and go with the promptly. I hope that helps.
Okay, Commissioner Herr Cornwell.
Thanks. And my question was just, since this is already in language for other forest conservation easements, I was just wondering if the promptly was a carryover from that language as well. That was just my comment.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact language. I'd have to look.
I can chime in a little bit. Well, let's go to Commissioner Adams. I believe he had his hand up. Is that correct?
Yes, I did, but I think the commissioner from Anne Arundel kind of answered the question going there, and that's all. Thank you.
And I can speak from both sides of that. From the side of the private side, I know there's frustration when there's not a time limit involved. I think promptly was probably, having represented government, however, promptly was probably put in there to encourage a more efficient government response. Governments are typically loath to include a specific time frame because they are made up of individuals, and as I say, individuals make mistakes, and the government, in trying to protect the public interest, doesn't necessarily want to tie itself to a specific time frame to the detriment of the general public when they're reviewing those types of requests. That would be just sort of my insight, having been on both sides of that fence. Are there any other questions from the commissioners? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion that the commission concur with the chairman's determination that the zoning text amendment identified as Anne Arundel County Ordinance Bill 62-6-21 be processed as a refinement to Anne Arundel County's critical area program? Further, that the proposed changes are consistent with the purposes, policies, and goals of the critical area law and regulation, and as such, recommend the chairman approve Bill 62-21 as proposed. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnston. Sorry.
Commissioner Johnston moves. Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Ackley.
Commissioner Ackley seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us on to our second agenda item. And Ms. Durant, I believe you are up again. Anne Arundel County Critical Area Mapping Pending Matters Text Amendment.
Yes, you guys get me 2 more times. Sorry. So thank you, Chairperson Greer. Good morning again. I'm still Kate Durant, and I will be presenting this Anne Arundel County Pending Matters language update. And Kelly Krinitz is still here from Anne Arundel County's Department of Planning and Zoning to help us answer any questions. So as part of the county's mapping update, the County Council approved Bill 63-21 at their meeting on July 19th, 2021. This action constituted local adoption of the pending matters language, which I am presenting now, and the updated maps, which will be the next presentation. Bill number 63-21 is the pending matters legislation associated with the 1,000-foot critical area boundary map update. The bill amends Article 18, which is zoning, Title II, General Provisions. Pardon me. The official language of the proposed text amendment is as follows. It is under 18.2-101, Scope and Applicability. Under existing letter B, Applicability to Pending and Future Proceedings. And it is new, number 11. The following shall be governed by the location of critical area boundaries in existence prior to the effective date of Bill number 63-21. 1. An application for development, provided any permits associated with the development are issued on or before December 1st, 2021. And 2. An application for a variance or a special exception, provided the application is filed on or before the effective date of Bill number 63-21, and any permits associated with the application are issued on or before December 1st, 2021. A variance or special exception grandfathered under this subsection may not be extended by variance. Staff recommends concurrence with the chairman's determination to process this as a refinement. Also, staff recommends approval of this text amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Durant. Nick, are there any questions in the chat box?
I see no questions in the chat and I see no hands raised at the moment.
I have one quick question. So I see the "and" in there. So it requires both an application and also requires that the permits be issued before the December date. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, that is correct, yes.
Okay. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners for Ms. Durant? Seeing none. Is there anyone from Anne Arundel County that would like to address the subcommittee?
There are no questions. I don't think I have anything to add.
So with that, Mr. Johnston, this is your county. Is there a motion that the commission concur with the chairman's determination that the zoning text amendment identified as Anne Arundel County Ordinance Bill 63-21 be processed as a refinement to Anne Arundel County's critical area program? Further, that the proposed changes are consistent with the purposes, policies, and goals of the critical area law and regulation, and as such recommend the chairman approve Bill 63-21 as proposed.
One moment, Chair. There's a comment in the chat from Steve Taylor.
Okay.
They ask, should may be changed to shall?
I mean, we will apply it as if it was a shall, so, we will not be issuing any extensions to the variances in that section. The Critical Area Commission also comments on our variances, so if someone were to apply for an extension, they would also have the ability to comment on that application.
And Emily, can you weigh in here, because it says, I'm assuming this is in may not and shall not would be interchangeable in this circumstances. Is that correct?
Actually, here it is just an affirmative. It says the following shall be governed. And my understanding for this portion of the bill is that the county, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anything, so tell me if I'm wrong, but that the county does want this to be a shall so that there is a limited universe that this bill applies to, so that there is only certain projects and applications that this will actually apply to. Whereas if it's a may, it opens it up a little bit further than they wanted to.
So Emily, I think what Mr. Taylor's referring to, his comment says should may be changed to shall, and Mr. Taylor might want to comment in the chat, but I think what he's referring to is the small Roman numeral 2, grandfathered, the last line, grandfathered under this subsection may not be.
Oh.
And I think when you I'm not leaning on you for this. I don't know that may not and shall not would not be interchangeable in that circumstance.
Right. You're totally right. You're totally right.
I'm going to go back to the slide so everyone can see the language.
Yeah, so sorry. May not does actually mean shall not. So yes.
But thank you very much, Mr. Taylor, for your comment and helping us sort of draw that issue out. Are there any other further comments or discussions before we move forward? Okay, having heard none, Mr. Johnson, is there a motion as previously read?
Thank you for the opportunity, Commissioner. I've been waiting to make this motion on these new maps for a while, so moved.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Ackley seconds.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. So, Ms. Durant, that moves us on to the final piece, the Anne Arundel County Critical Area Map Update. Take it away.
Thank you, Chairperson Greer. This is the final one. I am Kate Durant, and I will be presenting the Critical Area Mapping Update for Anne Arundel County. Kelly Krenitz from the County's Department of Planning and Zoning is joining us. So as part of the mapping update, the County Council approved Bill 63-21 at their meeting on July 19th, 2021. This action constituted local adoption of the updated critical area maps and the pending matters language that you just approved. So again, this is a map of Maryland. Anne Arundel County is shown in red. The commission staff worked with Anne Arundel County, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, the Maryland Department of the Environment, and the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative to develop updated critical area maps for the county. The draft maps were vetted by the aforementioned agencies. They were presented at 3 public meetings throughout Anne Arundel County and delivered to the county for public comment and local approval. So this slide shows the overall gains and losses in the critical area. There were 1,757 acres of gains and 2,532 acres of losses for a net loss of 775 acres. The beige outline on the map shows the critical area boundaries, and there are some small sections. Some are slightly easier to see because they're a little bit bigger. Of red that show losses, and then there are some sections of green that show gains. I will show some better examples of both a gain and a loss in the upcoming slides. Because Anne Arundel is a very tall, skinny county, so it's hard to show everything on one map. So this is an example of a critical area gain. Let me get my laser pointer for you. That might help a little bit. So the blue line shown here is the edge of tidal waters, and then the yellow line that is nearby is the edge of tidal wetlands. And excuse me, the red line is the current critical area boundary. The green line is the proposed critical area boundary. So the 1,000-foot boundary moved because, well, it could have been a couple of things. The edge of tidal waters and tidal wetlands could have moved. Overall, they were better delineated during this mapping update than they previously had been. Or the current maps were mapped incorrectly. So those are some of the reasons why we saw some gains in some areas, as well as some losses in some areas, which I will show in the next slide. This is an example of a critical area loss. When this area was originally mapped, it was believed that this pond was tidal, and during further evaluation during the mapping update, we determined that the pond is not in fact tidal. So the pond is no longer the edge of a tidal wetland or tidal waterway. It's now the edge of where it meets the bay. And that is why the current map would show the red line that is much higher, whereas the proposed maps show the green line, which does not include as much area. So staff recommends concurrence with the chairman's determination of refinement. And we also recommend that the chairman approve this refinement as proposed.
Thank you. Are there any questions in the chat box?
I see no questions in the chat box and no hands raised at the moment.
Okay, commissioners, going once, going twice, any questions by any of the commissioners? Okay, have any public comments been submitted?
No.
Okay. And I'm assuming that because there are no questions, Anne Arundel is satisfied with not addressing the commission, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So Commissioner Johnston, I think you said you'd been eagerly waiting this. Is there a motion from you that the commission concur with the chairman's determination that the Anne Arundel County mapping update can be reviewed as a refinement to Anne Arundel County's critical area program? Further, that the chairman approve Anne Arundel County's map amendment as proposed?
I will complete that trifecta this morning, so moved.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Ackley, second.
So Commissioner Ackley has joined you for the trifecta. So with that, all those, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? No opposed. Are there any abstentions? No abstentions. With that, the motion passes unanimously. And Ms. Duran, I think that concludes your presentations and moves us on to the next agenda item, Town of Charleston, critical area map update. And that is Ms. DeWeese. And I turn it over to you.
Thank you for that introduction. I will share my slides in a second. All right, good morning. My name is Alex DeWeese. I'll be presenting the Town of Charlestown's critical area map update. The Town of Charlestown is located in Cecil County. It's highlighted in red on this map of Maryland. In the center of the screen is a larger view of Cecil County itself. The Town of Charlestown is also highlighted in red, so you'll see that it's kind of centrally located, and it's located along the Northeast River. As per 2008 updates to the critical area law, we're required to remap the 1,000-foot boundary based on recent technologies. Specifically, COMAR 270111 requires us to remap that boundary every 12 years. Staff from the town, the commission, DNR, MDE, and the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative collaborated on this update. The map that you see before you was presented at a public meeting, and there were opportunities for public comment. Ultimately, Ordinance 2020-02 was amended by town commissioners on August 10th of this year, constituting local adoption. So you'll see the proposed map before you. You'll note that there's primarily just IDA as represented in red and LDA represented in yellow in the town. The current boundary is delineated with a red line. The proposed boundary is delineated with a green line. The update led to 19 acres gained of critical area, 13 acres lost for a net gain of 6 acres. This map shows you in beige all of the critical area that remains the same. Gains are shown in green and losses in red. Our recommendation is your concurrence with the chairman's determination to review the map update as a refinement, and that the chairman approve the map update as proposed. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. DeWeese, and we'll go through our litany. Nick, are there any questions in the chat? I don't see any.
I see Commissioner Blazer has her hand raised.
Commissioner Blazer?
The new area, will it be IDA, LDA, or RCA? Do we know that, or is that a different the new area, new green area that up on the right, up on the top? Will it be, is it going to be the? Okay.
So I think that it's going to be consistent with whatever the closest and most appropriate zoning is. I could be wrong. Lisa, I don't know if you have that information pulled in front of you.
I do not. I can get back to you. I'd have to check. But generally that's correct. We try to make it consistent with the surrounding critical area overlay So I'll let you know, Gail.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. It just, I didn't know whether it would be determined at a later date, or is it just, because that, if it's IDA, then there's not if it's LDA, don't you have, it looks very unimproved there. So they probably want to not have to go to growth allocations or whatever. I don't know whether they'd have to do that in this small town, but it was just curious. Thank you.
Commissioner Hare Cornwell.
I just want to follow up on Gail's question too about that with the map that we have up. The gap that is, there's an area that doesn't seem to be included between the gray and, yeah, exactly that. What's with that section?
That's the county. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's the county. I think at some point this part was annexed into the town, so it didn't used to have this kind of atypical border.
It sounds like too, is there someone from the town of Charlestown on the phone or in the?
They could not join us today.
I think that was Bob Chicanetti.
Okay. Does that answer Commissioner Blazer, Commissioner Hare Cornwell? Does that satisfy your questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any further questions? Okay, hearing none, have any public comments been submitted?
No.
No public comments.
Okay, so with that, is there a motion that the commission concur with the chairman's determination that the town of Charlestown mapping update be reviewed as a refinement to the town of Charlestown's critical area program? Further, that the chairman approve the town of Charlestown map amendment as proposed. Is there a motion?
Commissioner Johnston, so moved.
Is Ms. Ackley, would you like to complete with that with a second?
I would be honored to. Second.
So Commissioner Ackley makes the second. Is there any discussion?
Commissioner Gray, I just want to note that Lisa put in the chat that the new areas in Charlestown are being mapped LDA. So we do have that answer.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? With that, the motion carries unanimously and moves us on. Ms. DeWeese, I think you also have the next item, Town of Port Deposit Critical Area Map Update.
Yes, thank you. This is still Alex DeWeese presenting. Next up, we're going over the Port Deposit Critical Area Map Update. Port Deposit is also located in Cecil County. It's a little bit more to the west, located along the Susquehanna River, and it's highlighted on this map of Cecil County in the center of the screen. Again, because of those 2008 updates to the law, we're remapping the 1,000-foot boundary based on recent technologies. COMAR 270111 requires this to happen every 12 years. Staff from the town of Port Deposit, CAC, DNR, MDE, and the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative collaborated on this update. The map before you was presented at a public meeting. There were opportunities for public comment, and ultimately the town mayor and council adopted Ordinance 2021-05 on August 17th of this year, which constitutes local adoption. So the map before you shows the current critical area boundary in red, and the proposed critical area designations are highlighted in their standard colors. So IDA is in red, LDA is in yellow, and RCA is in green. This map update leads to 13 acres of critical area gained, 14 acres lost, for a total net loss of 1 acre, with 243 acres remaining the same. So as you saw in previous maps, the beige color represents critical area that remains the same. Gains are represented with a green kind of color, and reds represent a critical area loss. So staff recommendation is your concurrence with the chairman's determination to review the map update as a refinement and that the chairman approve the map update as proposed.
Thank you, Ms. Deweese. And again, going through our litany, are there any, I don't see any comments in the chat box. Is that correct?
I don't see any chat comments or any hand raised at the moment.
Commissioners, let me just ask for the record, are there any questions or comments by the commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Were any public comments?
There were no public comments.
Is there anyone from the town of Port Deposit that wanted to address the commission?
I don't believe they joined us this morning.
So with that, is there a motion that the commission concur with the chairman's determination that the town of Port Deposit mapping update can be reviewed as a refinement to the town of Port Deposit's critical area program? Further, that the chairman approve the town of Port Deposit's map amendment as proposed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And was that Commissioner Johnston again, or was that another commissioner?
I was trying to help him out this time. This is Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. We appreciate that. I think Commissioner Johnston appreciates that. Is there a second to Commissioner Adams' motion?
Second, Commissioner Johnston. Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
Is there any discussion by the commission members? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, with that, the motion passes unanimously, and that moves the committee on to our final agenda item, Wicomico County Village Downriver Growth Allocation Site Plan Amendment. And before we begin the presentation, the only thing I know that this has been a subject that has been of great concern to the commission, and I know that we'll have lots of, I think, comments, questions. So with that, I would just ask everyone, Nick is going to help us that when each time we want to speak, if we can just make sure we use the raising our hand so that we can have a good, robust, but orderly discussion. So with that, Charlotte, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair Greer. My name is Charlotte Sheeran, and today I will be presenting the Village Downriver Growth Allocation Revision. Also on the line, we have County Attorney Paul Wilbur, County Planning Director Lori Carter, County Staff Tony Faselli, as well as County Executive John Soda. Wicomico County is located on the eastern shore of Maryland, and the Village Downriver project is located just west of the city of Salisbury in Wicomico County.
Charlotte?
Yes.
Sorry, this is Kate Charbonneau. Your presentation is not in slideshow mode.
Oh, okay. Try again.
We're still seeing your PowerPoint.
Do you need to swap the screens? There we go.
There we go.
You see it now? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So as I said, Wicomico County is located on the eastern shore of Maryland, and the Village Downriver project is located just west of the city of Salisbury in Wicomico County. In 2007, Wicomico County applied for a growth allocation to change 61.37 acres from RCA to LDA in order to develop the Village Downriver development. As part of the Commission's approval of this request, several proffers were made in lieu of the required 300-foot setback from tidal waters. Additionally, the site itself was limited to 15% lot coverage overall, with more specific lot coverage limits set within the IDA and LDA designations. When the site plan was approved, the total overall lot coverage limit for the site was reduced further to 9.1%. Using the 15% lot coverage limit in the IDA and keeping the overall limit to 9.1, the county showed the stormwater pollutant removal requirement would be vastly exceeded. The site plan was approved by commission staff in 2008 as required under condition number 3 of the commission's approval of the growth allocation. Sheet 3 of the approved plan, which is also attached to your staff report as attachment 3, lays out the impervious surface limits for the site overall within the IDA, within the LDA, and for each individual unit. This is just a zoomed in image of the site plan sheet number 3. This information is located in the upper left corner of the site plan, which again is attachment 3 to your staff report. You'll see that the IDA is limited to 15% of the site overall, 15%, and the site overall is limited to 9.1%. As part of the growth allocation.
Am I frozen or did we lose Ms. Sharon?
I can still hear her and I see the screen.
Are you back on, Commissioner Greer?
Yeah. I currently see attachment 3 on the screen.
Yeah, that's the correct slide.
Okay.
Do you want me to wait for Chair?
Jennifer Merritt says she can't hear Charlotte. I can hear you talking, Charlotte.
I can hear fine. This is Ferguson.
Okay. Actually, can you continue pausing, Charlotte? Because I think Commissioner Greer is signing back in.
She's signing in, yes.
I apologize. I just lost everybody.
That's okay. We're waiting for you.
Okay. I apologize. I'm back.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Awesome.
Do we want to wait? Is Commissioner Merritt still having issues?
She says she's good now in the chat.
Okay. I can hear now. Okay, great. Okay, so this information on this slide is located in the upper left corner of the site plan, which is again attachment 3 to your staff report. You'll see that the IDA is limited to 15% lot coverage and the site overall is limited to 9.1%. As part of the growth allocation approval, the county showed that by limiting the lot coverage on the site in this way, they provided a phosphorus reduction credit of approximately 8 pounds, thereby vastly exceeding the stormwater management requirement. This stormwater credit was proffered as part of the 300-foot setback offset. The site plan also provided contingency impervious that was meant to be doled out to individual unit owners and tracked by the county. This impervious surface schedule is located in the lower left corner of the site plan, which again is attachment 3 to the staff report. Here you'll see that each unit was typically limited to around 1,000 square feet of lot coverage for a driveway and approximately 2,500 square feet for a dwelling. The totals on this table match the lot coverage limits within the IDA, the LDA, and the site as a whole, as shown on the previous slide. However, the county misinterpreted this table, allowing many units to be built out at double the allowable lot coverage limit. The result is that many of the units currently built within the IDA have used almost all of the lot coverage allotted to the IDA, thereby preventing the unbuilt units from being constructed without exceeding the allowed IDA lot coverage limit. Because the IDA lot coverage limit is tied to the stormwater management credit that was part of the 300-foot setback proffers for the growth allocation, the county must seek approval from the commission to raise the lot coverage limit within the IDA so that the unbuilt units may be constructed. This image also shows that some of the units have been combined. Here you'll see that units, let's see, starting here, 12A, 11B, 10B, and 8A have been created when Unit 9 was split between Unit 8 and Unit 10, and Unit 13 was split between Unit 12 and Unit 11. This matter came before the program subcommittee at the August 4th commission meeting, and the program subcommittee made a motion with the following directives to Wicomico County. First, the county was to provide a revised lot coverage table detailing the proposed limits for each unit within the Village Downriver community, as well as within the IDA overall and the LDA overall. Second, the county was to provide a stormwater management plan that shows compliance with the 10% stormwater phosphorus reduction for the additional lot coverage proposed within the IDA, based on the proposed lot coverage limits in Directive Number 1. And finally, the county was to provide accountability metrics for moving the Village Downriver project forward, while ensuring that the project will not exceed the revised lot coverage limits for each unit or the lot coverage limits within the IDA and LDA. Since the August 4th commission meeting, the county has conducted a site visit with commission staff to visit the Pirates Wharf mitigation site, which is a county-owned park where riparian buffer plantings are proposed as a stormwater offset to meet the additional 10% pollutant reduction requirement resulting from the proposed increase in lot coverage within the IDA. The county has also submitted a revised lot coverage table with the county's proposed lot coverage allocation. Commission Science Advisor Claudia Jones attended the site visit to the Pirates Wharf mitigation site and has confirmed that riparian buffer plantings in this location will provide the necessary water quality benefits to offset the proposed additional lot coverage within the IDA at Village Downriver. The county also provided a rough not to scale plan showing the location of 1.06 acres of proposed riparian buffer plantings at Pirates Wharf, which will meet the additional 10% phosphorus reduction required in the IDA for the increase in lot coverage proposed by the county. This plan is attachment 1C to your staff report, and you'll see here the location of the proposed plantings. Pirates Wharf Park is located downriver from the Village Downriver development and within the same watershed. The county has also provided their proposed lot coverage allocation, which can be found in attachment 4, column 5, titled 2021 Proposed Lot Coverage Limit by Wicomico County. Commission staff created the table in attachment 4 to show a comparison between the originally allocated lot coverage from 2008 and the county's proposal. This table also shows how much lot coverage each unit has remaining for development based on the county's allocation, and that's found in column 6, titled Remaining Lot Coverage as of October 2021. Attachment 4A to your staff report provides a comparison of the lot coverage totals within the IDA and LDA. The county's proposed lot coverage allocation results in an increase in the IDA lot coverage of 0.94 acres and a decrease in the LDA lot coverage of 0.91 acres. Attachment 5 to the staff report summarizes all necessary revisions to sheet 3 of the site plan that would be required to implement the new lot coverage allocation proposed by the county. The county's proposed lot coverage allocation results in a lot coverage limit for the entire site of 10.01 acres. This is a 0.02 acre increase, approximately 870 square feet, from the original lot coverage limit for the site, which was 9.99 acres. This is accomplished by increasing the lot coverage limit within the IDA portion of the site, while also decreasing the lot coverage limit within the LDA portion of the site. Attachment 5 will be referenced later in our recommended conditions. The county has not yet provided a planting agreement or detailed planting plan for the Pirates Wharf mitigation site. They have also not addressed the subcommittee's request for accountability and compliance metrics regarding the revised lot coverage table for development within the Village Downriver community moving forward. Therefore, in order to ensure the project is consistent with the approved growth allocation and critical area law and regulations, Commission staff recommends the Commission approve the county's revised proposed lot coverage table as authorized under condition number 3 of the 2007 growth allocation approval, and the stormwater offset proposal with the following conditions. I'm going to go through each of these, but you can also refer to them on pages 4 and 5 of my staff report. This is a long list of conditions, so staff has divided them into 3 categories for ease of explanation. The first 3 conditions pertain to the revised lot coverage schedule and site plan. Condition number 1 requires the county to record the revised site plan with the lot coverage table approved here today by December 6, 2021. Attachment 5 in your staff report shows exactly how the revised lot coverage table and references to IDA, LDA, and overall lot coverage on the plan should be revised in order to comply with condition number 1. This includes replacing the existing impervious schedule on sheet 3 of the site plan with the revised table that is shown in attachment 5 to your staff report titled Lot Coverage Schedule by Unit. Additionally, all references on the site plan to impervious surface or lot coverage must be updated with the new totals in the IDA, the LDA, and the site overall, as also shown in attachment 5. Finally, the revised site plan should reflect the revised plats for the units that have been combined. Yesterday, staff received a revised sheet 3 of the site plan from the county. Commission staff will be reviewing this submittal to determine whether it meets the criteria in condition number 1. Condition number 2 requires the county to provide a copy of the revised and recorded sheet 3 within 10 days of recordation. Condition number 3 lays out the consequences should the county fail to meet condition number 1. The county will be deemed in conflict with the critical area law and regulations under Natural Resources Article 8-1809 and will be notified of this conflict. The county will not be able to issue any permits or approvals in the Village Downriver community until that conflict is corrected. The next 2 conditions pertain to the additional 10% stormwater pollutant removal requirement due to the proposed increase in lot coverage within the IDA. Condition number 4 requires the county to submit by December 6, 2021, the signed planting agreement form, which is attachment 6 to the staff report, as well as complete information showing the proposed 1.06 acre planting site and landscape schedule that includes a planting date, as well as a maintenance plan for controlling of invasives, a monitoring plan for at least 5 years of monitoring, and provisions for maintaining the survivability rates required in COMAR. The county must submit annual inspections and provide to commission staff an annual report of these inspections within 30 days of completion. Condition number 5 lays out the consequences should the county fail to meet condition number 4. The county will be required to appear before the program subcommittee at its next scheduled meeting. The final 3 conditions pertain to the accountability metrics for ensuring the revised lot coverage allocation is adhered to into the future. Condition number 6 requires the county adhere to the revised lot coverage limits and allocation by unit as shown on the site plan by requiring as-built surveys and documenting lot coverage information for each individual critical area certificate of compliance as issued for each permit for each unit. Condition number 7 requires that within 10 days of permit approval for any unit within the Village Downriver community, the county shall send copies of all critical area certificates of compliance to commission staff for review. Finally, condition 8 states that the county may not amend the newly recorded site plan as required under condition number 1 without prior approval of the Critical Area Commission. I'm sure there are questions, but first I just want to say happy October, happy fall, and happy Halloween.
Thank you, Commissioner Sharon. Before we move on, I know that Wycomico County has some representatives on the phone, but before we move on to allow them to address the commission if they so choose, are there any questions for Ms. Sharon at this moment? So my thought is, before we move to the chat or public comments or discussion or further questions, is there anyone from Wycomico County that would like to address the commission?
Yes, County Attorney Paul Wilbur.
Mr. Wilbur, The floor is yours.
First, I'd like to thank the critical area staff. We have worked with them since May. The Village Downriver Condominium Association, all the Wacomico staff, Commissioner Ackley and County Executive Fasoda, and the developer. There's been a intensive team effort put on this Village Downriver project in order to find a solution. Succinctly, the county has reviewed the staff report and the county consents to complying with all of the conditions in the staff report so that we can move forward with the Village Downriver subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbur. With that, if any of the, before we move on to, are there any questions in the chat?
Not seeing any questions at the moment or any hands raised at the moment.
And this is, if you just give me one moment, are there any, before we move on to further questions and comments, are there any public comments that have been received?
I am unaware of any public comments we have received.
Okay, so with that, if any of the commission members have, I'm sorry, someone was trying to speak. Who was that?
I apologize. This is Jennifer Merritt. Could you give a little more information on the annual inspections?
Sure. So those are related to the proposed plantings that are being offered as a stormwater offset to the required 10% reduction. So go to yes. We've requested 5 years of monitoring and maintenance at the planting site. So the county will be required to go out each year to observe any die-offs that have happened, any invasives that may have entered the site or be threatening the growth of the plantings. That will also include a accounting of what species are there. Sometimes, you can have one species kind of take over. So there'll be possibly some maintenance required related to that. So these reports basically will summarize all of that each year, and then they're required to be sent to commission staff.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Adams, I see that your hand is raised.
Yes, and this is somewhat of a broad question, but I noticed that several of the things are saying by December 6th, some of the deadlines or some of the things to be done, and that there isn't a real plan presented on the plantings and those kind of things. Is there a reason on why some of the conditions we can't just revisit them after they've been completed by December 6th?
Are you suggesting that the county come back to the commission after the December 6th for sort of an update, or?
Yes, is that possible? Because it seems like I understand the need and the want to move forward, but I really would like to see what the actual planning plan is, what they're looking to do there, and then some of the conditions, if they can meet them by December the 6th, will we be able to be informed, and how soon would we know about that?
So would that be a request to place the this item back on the agenda for an update as to status at either our December or January meeting?
Correct.
Commissioner Greer, this is Kate Charbonneau. Charlotte, would you go to, I think it would be the last, so go forward to condition 5, 3, yeah.
And I also see that our legal counsel may want to weigh in on this. I see that her hand is raised.
Right. So my question would be, is this where rather than just make it a requirement that the county will be required to appear before the program subcommittee at its, at next scheduled meeting after December 6th?
I think you could do it that way.
Yeah, that's. I'll let you. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would like to see if it's possible for them to give us a report. So many things are based upon December the 6th. If we could have them come back before the subcommittee and just give us an update at that meeting after that on where we stand.
I think if I could weigh in 1 second, I think the best place to do it might be to add a new condition, since it would refer not only to the planting requirements, but also to the site plan and having that be recorded. So one option that the subcommittee could consider is an additional condition that says, the county shall provide an update to the program subcommittee at its first scheduled meeting after December 6, 2021. And that way it would cover all of the updates and not just the plantings. So I'll just throw that out there for your consideration.
I think that would probably, does that satisfy you, Commissioner Adams?
Yes, I would. Very good. Thank you.
And just before we go on, just to keep it orderly, just to allow the county, I assume you would have no objection to that condition.
No. Okay, that's correct. We have no objection. We welcome the opportunity to address the Critical Area Commission again.
Okay. And I see, Emily, go ahead.
Sure. Sorry, this is Charlotte. I was going to ask Emily, would that go under the last set of conditions? So it could be condition number 9, basically?
Yes, that's where I think the best place to put it is, yes.
Okay. And Kate, would you like me to go into editing mode in the PowerPoint and start updating?
I think that might be helpful if you could do that in caps, all caps. That way we know it's an amendment. Sure. In case that's accepted by the commissioners.
And I see Commissioner Hare Cornwell, you had your hand up, and then I also believe Commissioner following you, Commissioner Ackley has been also patiently waiting, and then following Commissioner Ackley, Commissioner Johnston.
Thank you. I just have a question about the 10% phosphorus reduction and addressing the planting requirement. So based on the original growth allocation approval, the project originally was providing more than was required for that. They were going to exceed the 10% reduction. So with the new lot coverage, it's triggering the additional planting agreement to meet that 10% threshold. So does that mean that, I guess my question is, was the original 10% threshold, was that extra benefit that was originally proffered, were those reductions realized, or are we at that 10% across the board now?
Excellent question.
Yes. I'm sorry, Kate, you want to go?
No, go ahead, Charlotte.
So I was just going to say that, yes, basically what happened is that there ended up being approximately 2 pounds of a deficit from that credit, if that makes sense, based on the additional IDA lot coverage that was proposed. So the county, by doing the riparian buffer plantings as a stormwater offset, is giving us basically an additional 2 pounds because that's what they needed in order to continue with the 8-pound credit. Does that make sense?
So 8 pounds of credit was what was originally going to be provided in the original growth area allocation approval?
Correct.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think that takes us to Commissioner Ackley.
Could you go back to the slide on the accountability matrix?
Yes. The conditions?
Yes. I just had a question on that one.
Oops. Sorry, I thought it was starting to slide. So there are a few conditions under this heading. Do you know what was it, 6, 7, or 8?
I guess my question is, the county is going to do this, but is this, maybe this is a question for Mr. Wilbur, should this be addressed by the local governing body as something that's submitted into our county code?
No, this is these requirements are project specific to Village Downriver and will be dealt with by planning staff interacting with critical area staff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that then takes us to Commissioner Johnston.
Sure, thank you. And I guess I raised my hand in case now was the time for amendments, since Commissioner Adams proposed one. Is now the time?
I think it would be appropriate so we could have a good discussion on the proposed amendment.
Great, thank you. So first off, I just want to echo the thanks that everyone else has talked about. I know critical area staff, county staff, and especially Commissioner Ackley have done a lot of work behind the scenes, even between the last meeting and today, to get us to where we are. I think we acknowledged as a subcommittee the last time that we met that this commission's been left with a bit of a difficult situation that is not of our making, but I think that it really gives us a chance to make some lemonade out of lemons, if you will. And I think in environmental law, the best chance we have to do that is to require more habitat creation, revegetation, and better water quality. So going directly to Commissioner Cornwall's question about the stormwater offset, I'd like to offer an additional condition because last time that we met, the subcommittee directed the county to, quote, use its maximum efforts to ensure that stormwater management is provided on site. The county and community, they weren't able to do that on site, but they are choosing to plant 1.06 acres to accommodate that requirement off-site at a beautiful county park, and I think that's a great outcome. But I would like to suggest a new condition in that we require, because it's off-site, that the county also allow 1.06 acres, so basically a 2-to-1. You plant the 1.06 and now you allow an additional 1.06 acres of land adjacent to that planting area to become revegetated through natural regeneration. So that really allows us to require the 2-to-1 offsite offset of stormwater as opposed to just the 1-to-1, going back to our previous recommendation. So what I would suggest we do here is add that as a condition after condition number 4. And then we just renumber all the rest of the conditions that we have. I'm happy to read that amendment out to everybody, answer any questions, and just want to thank everybody for working with me on it.
Thanks, Matt. If you could read, I think if you could read that out to everyone, and I see Commissioner Blazer has her hand up, so let's deal with this issue, and then Commissioner Blazer, my thought is let's discuss Matt's amendment, allow the county an opportunity as well to respond to that, and then we'll go to Commissioner Blazer. Matt, could you read that out aloud?
Sure, happy to do so. So here's the proposed amendment. This will be a new condition number 5. In addition to the plantings, required in condition number 4, the county shall allow 1.06 acres of land adjacent to the proposed planting area to become revegetated through natural regeneration, and shall provide a map of the area with the planting plan by December 6th, 2021. And then what that would do then in the next condition, condition number now 6, we would have to say if the county fails to provide the required information in condition number 4 and condition number 5. So we would just add that clause.
Okay. So with that, I want to give before I give the county an opportunity to respond to that, are there any commission members that would like to respond to that? And I see Commissioner Hare Cornwell has her hand up.
It's not necessarily a response to that, so I'll hold till later.
Okay, okay. Would the county like to respond to the proposed amendment?
The proposed amendment is something which we would have to coordinate with the Department of Recreation and Parks because that's the department that is developing the Pirates Wharf area, which is a development of a park that is with grant funding. And so we have had approval already for the 1.06 acre. We would have to make sure that we could plant that additional 1.06 by natural regeneration, not a plant, but just allow that to happen. So we don't have an answer for that right now. It would also require adjustment of paperwork. So I think we would want to extend that December 6th time period out perhaps another month to adjust for whatever comes up about this new proposal.
What type of grant funding is involved?
I think it's open space.
Okay, and I'm going to rely on our legal counsel. Do you have any thoughts on that? And I see some things in the chat box as well.
I don't actually have any thoughts on that. I think that it's completely the subcommittee's choice about the deadline. I mean, I think the deadline is consistent with the other conditions, but it's certainly your choice if you wanted to extend that out. And I guess then we should also think about the new condition. What number is it now? 9. That we said we wanted, you said you wanted an update on everything after December 6th. So if you extend this deadline, you may also want to extend the next deadline. But it's no, I have no legal concerns. Okay. It's just your choice.
And Commissioner Johnston, what are your thoughts with respect to the county's comment?
Yeah, I certainly respect where the county's coming from, knowing that we've got to get all the players in the room, especially the landowning agency in the room to talk about it. I would like to keep it if the subcommittee agrees to December 6th, just because I think that conversation can be had within the next 2 months with that department. And then we can hear back from Wacomico on how that's going at our either December or January meeting.
And as chair, I don't disagree with Commissioner Johnston's thoughts on that. Before we move on to other questions, any other comments or questions from the staff or from the commission on Commissioner Johnston's proposed amendment?
Commissioner Ackley, I just have a question, I guess more of a comment, and I want to circle back to the residents of the village downriver and the importance of selling these additional lots, because as you know, they have an independent wastewater treatment system in their development, and they need to sell these lots to have additional homeowners to keep it functioning. Commissioner Johnston talked me through all this today, and I'm in agreement with him. I just don't want this to hold up the sale of those lots. That's my primary concern, because I know the citizens of the village downriver, they've also worked very hard. They've spent a lot of time trying to advocate for the development and their neighbors. And I just want to make sure that we're not inadvertently delaying the sale of these lots.
So I guess my question is, and then I want to go to Commissioner Blazer and Commissioner Hare-Cornwell. For the county, would the amendment would it have the impact of doing that? I don't know that it would have the impact of essentially doing that. So I'd like to hear that response. And
as from the county's perspective, we had vetted out what was in this letter, and we feel we could hit that December 6th date with what was in the letter. This is obviously a new amendment that we just do not have the time. We haven't had the time to vet that out with either the state or the county department in charge of the park. And we don't want to create a situation where we're going to be called to hit a December 6th deadline when there may be something that we don't know right now that's going to cause us to require longer.
However, we do hasten to add that that's our goal, is to get it done as soon as possible.
well, let me ask you a question though. If we amend that condition to say, so long as it does not conflict with the open space grant monies, with those grant funds, that that you would agree to it, because isn't that the concern, that it's going to impact your grant?
Here's the thing: the Pirates Wharf Park project has a master plan also. So if that master plan had to be adjusted in order to accommodate this condition, that may require additional time. We want to do this. We want to achieve a solution all the way around, but we don't want to be held to a timeline that we can't meet. And we don't know the answer to that right now.
I think that's fair. I'm going to rely on our legal counsel. Is there a way that we could tweak that amendment so that we put in these, sort of these conditions, or the fact that we have some metrics that we're all unsure of, which is grant money and the master plan?
Right. Okay. Yes, I think we can tweak this to accommodate both of those concerns. I think where it says revegetated through natural generation, we would add in there. Right now we're saying adjacent to the proposed planting area. Would you all be open to or another area, so long as it is not inconsistent with the Pirates Wharf master plan or the open space grant funding requirements?
So this is Commissioner Johnston. I would certainly welcome that as a friendly to my friendly amendment here. And I'll just say for the county folks, the reason why I did put in the adjacent is because based on the master plan drawing, which I think was the conceptual plan drawing from the master plan of that park, it looked like the adjacent areas were just meadow areas that could be naturally regenerated without any impact to the master plan. So that was my hope, not trying to throw a wrench in things whatsoever.
Okay, and then we could make the end of it a second sentence. The county shall provide a map of the area of the natural regeneration area with the planting plan. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what to do about the December 6th deadline. It sounds like the county is asking for more time, but I don't know that the subcommittee is or isn't asking for more time. So I'm not clear right now about any suggestions for that, changing that deadline.
Commissioner Greer. Sorry, this is Kate Charbonneau. One thing I wanted to point out, the December 6, 2021 deadline is after the December commission meeting that's scheduled, because that meeting will be held on December 1st. So December 6th is reflective of 60 days. So really any update that would come to the commission would not be until its January meeting. And I don't know if that would be something the commission might feel that they could give more time to the county on that basis.
I mean, I would be comfortable, unless anyone on the commission has some strong objections, I would be comfortable with that. Okay, so I'm going to, Kate, I'm going to ask you what is a proposed time, and then also ask the county. And I see that Commissioner Blazer also has a comment on this. So she's been very patiently waiting to speak. With respect to the time frame, what time frame, Kate, would you suggest? And then I want to just verify with the county that they find that to be reasonable. Now, do we have, we're in our October meeting, so do we have a meeting in November?
The likelihood is not very high. We have a few items. We don't have confirmation either way just yet. Sorry.
But we certainly have a December meeting.
I think it's possible that, yes, if we don't have November, there will be items ready for December.
And I guess my comment is, if we establish some time frames here and the county were to run into an issue, certainly they could address that issue of that timing to the commission in their December meeting.
Yes, so we could potentially maybe put an update on December 1st, 2021, and adjust the December 6th deadline to, I'm trying to think through. It could be to the end of the year. Emily, do you have any suggestions?
I was going to say, I mean, my suggestion, again, this is your choice. This is not a legal issue. Just to be clear, my suggestion is that we keep the dates consistent throughout. So I think my suggestion is either change all of the dates to December 1st so it matches up with the December meeting, or change the dates, like you're saying, Kate, to maybe the end of the year so that they can come back in the January meeting and provide an update. But I think it's important that we don't try to separate out the planting plan agreement from the natural regeneration area and have those on two different schedules. I just think that would be a little bit more complicated than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any objection? I want to get to the comments in the chat because there are some comments there. And is there any objection from any of the commission members? And again, we still have to vote on all of this. So this is just so we can get some language to moving the date to December 31st. And Commissioner Johnston, since this amendment's been proffered by you, I'm going to look to you first.
I'm fully supportive of that change in date for all the conditions.
Okay. With respect to just the date, no other issues. Do any other commission members have any issues with modifying those dates?
So Commissioner Greer, so I see that Commissioner Merritt and Commissioner Blazer both in the chat support the end of year.
Okay, great. And with that, commission, and then let me just say to the county, because I want to keep it on track, with respect to that, would the county have any objection to that with that date changed?
No, good, no.
Okay.
December 1st is good.
And then understanding that if you run into an issue, that gives you an opportunity to address the commission with respect to that.
Understand.
Okay, so now going to just very quickly, there were some comments.
Yes, Commissioner Gray, I wanted to mention for Charlotte, Commissioner Johnston said for condition 5, Charlotte, that it should change or an area to or another nearby area. I think that's 1, 2, 3. I think it might be your 5th. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Also, Commissioner, there was a Mr. Taylor commented, I support Commissioner Johnston's proposal, but would request invasive species management, and I cannot read the end of that comment, would be addressed, invasive.
Be addressed in the planting plan. So in a sense, the planting plan that we would see would have invasive species management as a part of that full plan. It would be addressed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Commissioner Blazer, you've been very patiently waiting, and I see you have a comment in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and recognize you.
Yeah, I just am just curious. I mean, all of this is at the expense of the citizens of Worcester County, not, I mean, Wacomico County. So, I mean, is the developer responsible for any of the plantings and the cost of this effort over at this other park off-site?
Developer will be doing the planting on the 1.06. The developer will be paying for it.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Blazer?
I think I heard him say that the developer would be reimbursing them for this.
That's correct.
That's good. That's what I was curious. So it's like I just think it needs to be on the developer, not so much on the citizens of the county. So that's
the case. So with that, I believe that Commissioner Hare Cornwell and then Commissioner Merritt had also had their hands up. So Commissioner Hare Cornwell, and then we'll go to Commissioner Merritt.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify one thing, the difference between, and this is sort of getting back to the accountability part as well. So under the first conditions for the lot coverage and the site plan approvals, if the county doesn't meet those requirements or something falls through the cracks, then they would be sanctioned. On the stormwater offset side, if the annual inspection reports for the plantings don't come forward in a timely manner, that only requires the county to come back to our commission and report on that. Is there a difference? I mean, is there a reason why one is sanctioned and not the other? And, or is that, is that based in our regulations?
Commissioner Cornwell, I'll take I think the planting area, the reason we are not suggesting a sanction on that component is partly in recognition that, it is a county-owned park site. They do have plans there. I think we would rather work with the county directly on ensuring, we get the necessary planting or natural generation or combination thereof, as opposed to with the first set of conditions related to recording and making those specific changes. I mean, that's really the major accountability measure that we need in place to ensure that that growth allocation has a way forward and the county has a way forward to issue permits. So I think we saw that one as just, needing to happen, whereas with the planting and or natural regeneration that might occur, we wanted to provide more flexibility to work with the county on any problems we might encounter down the road. Does that make sense?
Commissioner Merritt?
Hi. At the last meeting, I requested more information on why the wastewater treatment needed more properties to function appropriately. The information was a little vague at the last meeting, or very vague on why that might be the case. So I was just curious if there was some technical information on why more properties were needed for the wastewater management functioning.
Okay. Tony Faselli will answer that.
Hi, Tony Faselli, civil engineer, public works for Wacomico County. So the way the overall plan was designed was based upon the entire subdivision being built out. So right now, the more efficient point for that plant to operate is at that build out. So the less number of lots, the more chemical usage and treatment has to be done to keep up with. You would think it'd be the opposite, but it's not the case. So that's kind of where they stand. So the more users they have, less overall costs and maintenance costs for those, let's say for now, 27 people versus potential 47 people that can be out there, or families.
That's how it's designed.
Yeah.
So it is functioning appropriately, it's just more expensive right now.
It is extremely expensive. Yes. So yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns by any of the commissioners? Okay. Hearing none. Again, I'm going to rely, I want to make sure, as an attorney, I know when to rely on the attorney. Ms. Veneer, Emily has her hand up. Thank you so much. I was going to say, can we take a motion? I heard no objections, basically by consensus from the commissioners on the amendments.
Right.
So can we take this as a motion incorporating those amendments, or do we need to take this in pieces? And I see.
You can take the whole thing. I have a couple of, I think, minor edits. If we could look at number 5, condition number 5. The county shall provide a map of the area with the planting plan by December 31st, 2021 to commission staff. Could we just add that at the very end? That would be great. And then I had a question about condition, this one, condition number 5. Did we want to, I wasn't sure if we wanted to incorporate here the issues about the master plan and the program open space grant issues, or are you guys all comfortable with the language as it is right now?
I think what I heard from that their ability to do that, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for the commission, or the county, but what I think I heard was that the county is not objecting to that, but it is conditioned on their ability to do that by whether or not it violates the terms of the open space monies, or their ability to amend the master plan for that project. Is that
okay?
Correct? So I think you're right. I agree with you. I think there has to be something in there that references that.
Okay, so that's what I thought too, but I just wanted to make sure before I made that suggestion. Okay, so then I would suggest adding in here, or another nearby area. Yeah, exactly, as Charlotte's going to say, that does not conflict with Pirates Wharf master plan or the open space grant funds. That way that qualification is also in there if for whatever reason, the county might come back and say, we can't do it nearby, it has to be, over here or something like that. But that gives them a little bit more flexibility to find the right spot for the natural regeneration.
County's okay with the wording?
Yes.
Thank you. That's going to be my next question.
And then could we go back to number 4? No, sorry, number 5. In addition to the plantings. Okay, and then number 6. Can I look at number 6 really quick? Okay, at its next scheduled meeting. Okay, yep, I don't have any other edits to any of the conditions. And so I think you can, when you're ready, if you choose to, take everything together by referring to the staff report, the presentation, and the slide numbers. And then you don't have to read every single condition if you don't want to. Your choice.
That was going to be my next question. So with that, is there a motion to recommend approval of the revision to the site plan for the project known as Village Downriver Growth Allocation, subject to the staff report, staff presentation, and the conditions and recommendations as presented and amended in the presentation? How's that? Good. Okay. Is there such a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Johnston.
Commissioner Johnston moves. Who would like to second that? I heard another voice.
I'll second. Ferguson.
Commissioner Ferguson seconds. Is there any discussion from commission members? Is there any discussion on the motion?
Commissioner Gray, I do see Jennifer Merritt's hand is still raised, but I don't know if that was from prior or not.
I apologize. I'll put that down.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I see Commissioner Blazer.
Yeah, I don't know whether this is the place to discuss this, but I know how hard it is to keep track of all of these conditions that people have to report back to you guys. You guys, I'm sure, are overwhelmed with everything. Do you guys have like a compliance calendar that we could have access, knowing that when certain things need to come back to us, that they don't get as fall through the cracks, I per se, not that they would on any purpose, but just how do we stay on top of making sure that all this stuff gets back to us if it's needed to?
Commissioner Blazer, I'll answer that question. Staff has a spreadsheet. We track conditions associated with projects, and we visit them monthly at our planners meeting. And then those that require a report back to the commission, we make note of so that we can do that during old business of commission meetings.
Thank you. I know it's a huge job to keep track of everything. So I just thought whether if you had a calendar or a spreadsheet works. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Is there any other comments or discussion by the commission? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? What?
I'm sorry, that's Commissioner Adams. Are we still putting in the amendment that we will get a report back in our January meeting? That is still a part of that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's why, Commissioner Adams, we set the December 31st deadline so that it could come to you in your January meeting. So with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions?
This is Commissioner Merritt abstaining.
Commissioner Merritt abstains. With that, the motion passes. And I just, I would like to, I think, echo what Commissioner Johnston said. This has been a difficult project for the commission, and I want to thank commission staff, the county, and the commissioners for working through it and trying to find a resolution that balances our duty as a commission to our fiduciary duty to the public as a commission, as well as the needs of the county and as well as the needs of the members of that of the residents that live within that community, I should say. So with that, I believe that concludes our morning agenda. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It does. I'm sorry, I see two. Yes?
I just had a quick comment to make. This is Commissioner Ackley. I wanted to acknowledge the president of the Homeowners Association from Village Downriver and Mr. Fisher, who is a resident there, who have again worked diligently to come to a resolution on this. And I want to thank both of them and just open the floor to see if there was any comments that you all wanted to make.
We're generally in good shape. I can't thank everybody's time enough. I know how sensitive these issues are, and Clearly in my daily life as what I do as an architect, these things kind of just sort of fly over and above us hugely, when in reality they're so important. So we all, the county staff as well, we've been through it. We've been through every literal piece of wetland out there has gone inspected, so to speak. So, and I can't thank their commitment to getting this right enough. And it's been a personal issue as well, because it's our home, it's our lives, it's our value, it's all those things. So just want to say thank you to everybody for that time.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Commissioner Ackley, for your hard work, I believe, on this matter as well. And Commissioner Johnston, I see you also have your hand raised.
Yeah, just one last thanks to everybody. And the only other thing that I request is, when we're planting these trees, can we all get out there? I will bring the lemonade if we can.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. You will love it there.
All right. Looking forward to it.
So with that, Commissioner Ackley, I see your hand is still raised.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I want to make sure you get the ability to have the last word. So with that, I believe that concludes the program subcommittee's meeting, and we will re-adjourn with the full commission at 1 p.m. this afternoon virtually. So thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.